This is Firebase Schroeder, and Gary had quite a few pictures from there too. And in my time there, and a lot of the guys, I think this was probably the longest time we stayed at one particular base. It was constructed by the engineers and literally dug out a rice paddy. They built those bunkers for us, but we filled the sandbags. It's another shot of the base and one of the combo towers behind the base. When we moved there, they had just constructed the base, and basically they just had taken these bulldozers and pushed this berm up around a large circular berm and out of the rice paddy. It was all during the dry season, so the soil that normally would be at least ankle deep in mud, maybe more, was hard as a rock, and you know, a hand grenade going off probably would hardly penetrate it. It was created a good berm anyway to build the perimeter around. That was one of the large mobile guns that they brought in to support us. I don't know what that's like, an 8-inch gun maybe or something like that. But I know going off at night and they had a fire mission, if they were firing over your bunker, it sure shook the place up pretty much, that's for sure.
It's a 155.
It's a 155? That's a picture of the landing pad outside the fire base. Another picture of the 155. Right outside the wires was a little village out there. And so it was not uncommon for us to patrol that area from time to time. That was the guy in my squad at Bowen. He was our last reunion 5 years ago, but fortunately couldn't make it to this one. Can't remember this kid's name.
And that Brooks?
Brooks, not Dave Brooks.
Yeah.
Ed Brooks. That's Ed again, and that guy behind him, I can't really remember his name, but he was only with us a short time. He got transferred in from another unit and then transferred out. Back at Schroeder again. And when the engineers built those bunkers, they were built out of heavy wood planks. And it was our job to fill the sandbags, but the soil there was wasn't sand, it was just dried up mud, and it was hard as a rock. And you'd get out there with your trenching tool and your little shovel and start pounding away at it, and you know, take you like 3 hours to fill one sandbag. Not a task we all like to do, but we finally got it done. That was a kid in my squad, Keith Heckel. He was carried the radio for a while for my squad. Those are batteries for a radio, PRC 25 radio. And it was pretty heavy. I forget how much they weighed, but it's quite a lot to pack. There's one of our fighting positions at a fire base prior to getting to Schroeder. Wasn't much of a fighting position. We were very exposed there. I didn't like that spot at all. I don't think any of my guys did either. That's Johnny Thomas standing there, and Guadalupe Rivera behind him, and Dave Brooks again there, right there. It's Brooks again. He's getting ready to do his first bullet duty at sunset, guard duty. That's a company first sergeant on it, right? And I can't remember his name, but I think we're getting ready to go on a convoy. I don't think we're going back to Dongtam, or from time to time they take us by truck for an operation. That was rather rare, but we're probably going back to Dongtam on this. With love from Vietnam. That was inside one of our bunkers. Kerosene lamps. We didn't have electricity, so we get the kerosene lamps from Mamasan. That would provide us with light inside those bunkers. And doing a little reading. Couldn't forget where I was from, so I kept that flag over. God. Again, we're on Convoy. Now, right in the middle of the picture there's a dog. And they taken us in a truck out on a mission, and that dog was a scout dog. He had a handler, the dog's name was Bourbon. And he was a huge German Shepherd, the friendliest could be, but that dog was trained to attack on command and enter into a bunker on command as well. So if there was some suspicion that there had been an enemy in a bunker that was hiding in there, the trainer would, handler would give that dog a command, that dog would go right into that bunker and do his job. I think that's Doug Hill down here on the left. I'm not sure, it looks like Dawn Tam, maybe getting back on the Convoy. It's an armored vehicle, they used to patrol the roads there on Highway 4. Typical little village thing along one of the rivers. And then we're on Convoy, I think those are sea ration boxes in the back of that trailer there. I'm not sure which village that was, Kai Bay maybe. I don't think it was Mito. There's that same.
Nicest building on the road.
That's it. One without any bullet holes in it, so, you know. I think I tried to get that Ramos on the traditional dress. It didn't turn out so well. Shell gas station. That's not what we're fighting for, boys. On Convoy. The thing about a convoy is you're driving down Highway 4 and it was a red mud dust. If you were riding in the front truck, you were good. If you were riding any truck behind that, it was a dusty, dirty ride back. You know, you pretty much hunkered down and wrapped your towel around your face and head, and didn't enjoy the ride very much at all. That's getting back to Dongtown. Thank God. Going through one of the villages again. I never understood what those things across the river were. It was like netting. I don't know if they were there to prevent VC sappers from getting at the bridges, and that's what I always thought, so we'll take it for that. We're crossing the bridge. VC used to like to mine the road, and they'd be known to take out bridges from time to time just to disrupt traffic. There's some kids taking their bath. These are all helicopter shots. Kind of what it looked like most of the time. Here we are on a flight. That's Ed Bowen in the center, Johnny Thomas on the left. Kid up on the right-hand side, Terry Thompson. He didn't come into the picture so well, but these were taken on January 6th, Ed, on our way out to that mission.
Oh my goodness.
And Terry, he was killed that day. I wish I had him more in the frame, but. One of the pilots. Shot of the helicopter flying. That's probably a gunship, and they would fly protection on your flanks when you were in formation. And as you come into your LZ, they'd strafe the wood line on each side for you, just try to soften it up a little bit. If there's any suspicion that the enemy were entrenched there. I don't know, that may be a shot of a plane of reeds out there. You can see to the horizon there wasn't much of anything. Just a vast area. This picture was taken on the morning after January 6th, and it was kind of the aftermath. We finally were able to get into the wood line, and we were finding Viet Cong structures all in there, and we did what all good GIs do. We burned them down, make sure they couldn't use them again. Here we are. I'm not quite sure who that is in the picture. Typical patrol, typical banana plantation. during the dry season, there was no water. I mean, we were surrounded by water, but there was no rain. And you'd be out walking, it'd be 100 degrees, and you'd come up on these bomb craters that were filled with water, and Lieutenant Paul would say, okay guys, let's take a break, and we'd just jump right in, soak up, clothes on, boots on, it didn't matter, you know, get wet, and you know, got to rehydrate ourselves a little bit.
Who's that in front?
I'm not sure who it is in the front. On the right, Richard Allen, and that's myself, and it might be Ed Bowen there in the dead center, and I'm not quite sure who that is up front. Here we are. I have a suspicion right in the center of that photo is probably Paul with the headquarters unit, and they're moving us out. They already said, okay, we're down on the ground, this is where we're going. Here's your compass heading. Start walking. That's myself, and our radio operator at the time, his name's Paul Brown. He's from New Jersey as well, Ed.
He was at the last reunion.
Yep, he was at the last reunion. There's a couple of tired GIs right there. Anytime you had a chance to take a break, pull off your rucksack, sit on it, and take a breather for a couple of minutes. I don't recognize the guys, but their heads are hanging low, so they must be pretty tired. These couple of hooches were right out in the middle of the rice paddy, and we've been tracking the VC all morning, and we got to the edge of the wood line and looked out, and we could see the tracks going right across the open rice paddy, and they told us, I think my squad was on point, okay, you got to go there and check that hooch out. So I can tell you we weren't too anxious to step out into the open across that to go check that hooch out with all those tracks leading to it, but we did anyway. I don't think anything came of it.
There you go.
They're under control. I'm not even sure what that shot is. Somebody in there, though. There's a soldier on the right-hand side. It was hard to see in this thicket. I mean, it's, you'd think that it wouldn't be that hard to see, but everybody's dressed in green, and you're back in these places in the shadows, and sometimes it's very difficult to see. Someone stand there. This was, this platoon leader, I forget his name, first lieutenant, came after Paul had left our platoon, and I don't think he was with us more than a couple of weeks, Gary, you know?
Yeah.
And we're walking down the trail one day, and probably a good 10 or 12 guys have gone past a spot, and all of a sudden we hear this pop behind us, and you know, we hear this man down, he's a medic, and we go back there, and there's the lieutenant, and he had a bullet hole right through the bottom of his foot, right through, clean through his foot, and it stepped on a toe popper, they called it. It was a AK-47 round they buried in the trail, and leave the head of it sticking just above the trail, and a board with a nail in it that acted as the firing pin. He stepped on the head of the round and drove it against that nail and set the bullet off, and called them toe poppers. That was his ticket home.
Who was the guy that was hurt? You know?
It was a lieutenant, one of our platoon leaders, but
It's the lieutenant that came after that we finally got, and then he wasn't there long. You know?
yeah, yeah. There was somewhere on the other side over there.
That's not the signal corps lieutenant, is it?
Yeah.
It might have been,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's him.
It might have been him, yeah. He kind of loved to hide underneath those. He'd be, you know, chasing them, and they'd disappear, and that's where they'd be, hiding underneath those floating pads in the canals. Probably coming in to pick us up. Looked like we're a couple of guys in formation there, up on the right side and back to the left. Come in to pick us up, take us back, move us to another location more than likely. Pop the smoke from the helicopters. There we are, picking us up. some of these now are starting to get a little repetitive, but different angles. That's an unfortunate Viet Cong right there. Now, that guy, I don't know who it is, I think it's Paul Brown. He's holding in his hands Short Round.
Oh, yeah.
When Short Round was the puppy, and we had, there was some pictures of him floating around, and
Is our
we were
platoon
out in the
dog.
boonies, and we go by this hooch, and the farmer there had this little puppy tied up a piece of wire, and they would raise them for food. And being Americans, loving dogs, we weren't going to let that happen. So he wasn't very happy with us, and he was going to probably be shooting at us the next time we went back. But we took that little puppy back and raised him up and called him Short Round. And he hang out in the company area back in Dongtown. And the guys back there took care of him, and every time we come back, he'd be our little companions. There's a mama son. I think we walked up on these hooches, and their first instinct was to run for their bunkers. A lot of them had bunkers built into their hooches there, and I think that's what she was doing. We scared her, and she was trying to hide. There's a papa sign, and your guess is as good as mine. Probably shooting at us at night and smiling at us during the day. I don't know. But, typical farmer. Little girl. Children were great there, and you get in areas where the kids were, and they just, swarm in, looking for candy bars, and day after, this was like January 1st, and the 31st of, being on my head, December, we'd been out on patrol. We'd been on ambush patrol in conjunction with another platoon, and we came under attack, but we repelled it because we were very alert and kind of expecting something to happen. And the platoon that was maybe 300 or 400 meters away from us across the rice paddy didn't respond as well, and Viet Cong got up on them and killed a bunch of them. Pretty much wiped the platoon out.
It wasn't even a firefight.
It wasn't even a firefight.
They just came,
Yeah.
snuck up on them.
Yeah, Larry was there, he remembers, and we couldn't believe it because, an hour or so before they tried to get at us and we repelled them. And, how could they be in a platoon, let that happen to them? They knew the Viet Cong were in the area. And we were kind of pinned down on our side from the incoming AK-47 rounds. That green tracers slapping through the banana trees over our heads. And so we were tired.
What was that talking to the little boy?
Yeah, there was the kids would come around, and they'd want to clean your boots for you, for a can of C rations, or, take your dirty fatigues and have mom and son wash them for you. They were always looking for something. They'd do it for cigarettes, and it wouldn't matter. And they kind of follow you around a little bit. So we all had to have our John Wayne shots, macho shots. So actually, a couple of these. Actually, what would happen? We'd go. This is right outside Schroeder, and we may be there, and sometimes you'd be there for a week and nothing would be happening. You'd just be sitting around waiting for something to happen. Platoon leader, maybe this was Paul, says, "All right, guys, we're going outside. We're going to do a little target practice." So we put a whole bunch of C ration cans on the ground out there and start target practice. Make sure the weapons work. And, in fact, that looks like that guy on the left here is firing one of those carbines, AR-15. There we are. Little macho.
Oh, look at that.
Oh.
Rambo, look out.
Oh, there we are again. I believe this. There were questions asked before about who that guy was. He was an RTO for our company commander, and I still can't remember his name, but that's who that is. There's a Loach flying over a wood line. There were observation helicopters, and a lot of time they do recon for us over a wood line before we went in. That's outside the perimeter. Schroeder, and that smoke, I think, was from, it might have been from an airstrike, or they were dumping some artillery out there or something on the edge of the wood line outside that. That was Larry Enright's squad's position right there. What a lovely home that was.
That was after we redecorated.
So I think that's the end of it, folks.
Okay. All right, Tom, thank you.
Shit, you know, I mean, he rolls out on the road and he starts shooting down the road, and it stopped him, you know. And of course, then the rest of us kind of got our act together, and we got out and started shooting down the road. But then the funny thing was, is then after we kind of cleared up everything, I thought, man, where's Sugarfoot? You know, God, I put him out there to be safe, you know. Shit. And so we go running out there to the bunker, and it's just a pile of rubble, you know. And I'm, oh my God, you know, I've killed the boy. And sandbags start popping up and stuff, and up comes Sugarfoot, spitting dust and sand and stuff. And he goes, "Fuck, they tried to kill me." That was a terrible night.
We had cots, you know, those fold-up cots, and I had a mosquito net over my head because it was so, at night you couldn't sleep, the mosquitoes were so bad. And I think several of the guys had mosquitoes.
Oh, I did too.
Like this and
Yeah.
draping over the thing. And this thing starts off, they fired RPGs into the hooch right next to us, and you know, like Larry
Oh,
says,
they-
I wake up and the tracers are going through the tin roof. And I jump out of that cot.
September, October.
This is,
Must have been September, yeah,
Yeah, it's
end of
over right
September, yeah.
jump out of that bed with a mosquito net hanging off of me. And I know the bunker was that way. So I'm ripping down that aisle with the dragging the mosquito net like this. We all jump in the bunker, and Shapiro gets in the bunker. He goes, "Anybody got a weapon with them? Get your freaking weapons!" So we all run back into the hood. We're grabbing helmets and boots and we're all in our underwear, heading out into the road to fend off the attack in our underwear.
That was
a hell of a night.
Yeah. And
scary.
it was terrible, scary, but at the same time, that's kind of one of the things that made me think, boy, we got some brave guys here. I mean, we had, because we were caught asleep, basically.
Yeah, we were all asleep.
They were all over us, and we kicked their ass.
Yeah.